We got to ask you, in the midst of breaking news in the past couple of days, Tim Tebow playing tight end.
Oh,
and
wow.
And he lines up across you in your 7 technique. Do you even care about the play? You just gonna try to crater
After
it?
being out of the league for 8 years.
After me being out, him?
After him.
What?
He's been in the league 8 years. And he comes out there and puts his hand on the end of the line. Are you just gonna wear him out?
Dude, there's a lot to say about that. There's a lot to say about that. And I really don't know where to start. You're the second person that asked me that about him, and when the first person told me, I was really surprised. I was like, say what now?
Yeah, I was too.
Right?
I was too.
And so you coming back and you're playing tight end, that's a pretty aggressive position on the football team to play. That's where one of your best athletes have to be at, one of your bigger athletes have to be at. You're dealing with guys that, most of the time are going to be bigger than you, and you still got to figure out how to block them. So I'm really wondering how that's going to work out. I'm really wondering how that's going to work out.
Route right now.
Yeah.
Let me ask it a different way. The football player you see him come out, he put his hand down, and you line up. Do you even care about the play anymore?
I don't. Here's me. When I played, it was all about winning and winning your position, your down, what you was playing in. And if I see Tim Tebow line up against me, I love the brother. But I'm gonna put some work in on him, to be honest with you.
Welcome back to another great episode of the Vision Lab podcast in partnership with Nexum Creative. I'm Ryan Cuffey alongside my co-host, Mr. Ryan Mosley. The Vision Lab is the official growth mindset podcast for all visionaries worldwide, showing mad love to the cigar community. It's here in the lab where we uncover people's visions and dreams and how those dreams actually come into reality. Folks, it's all about tapping into and becoming the absolute best versions of ourselves through self-discovery, self-examination, and self-actualization. Yo, we got the man, the myth, the legend in the building. We made this happen, man. Big ups to my partner. Shout out to Lola. Hey, yo, Mo, who we got in the lab today?
Today's guest is a native of Wendell, North Carolina. He is an All-American defensive end at the University of North Carolina in Chapel Hill. He was the number 8 pick of the 1998 NFL draft by the Dallas Cowboys. The infamous number 8 pick, for many reasons we'll get into. He spent a total of 12 years in the NFL. He is also the executive producer of sports films like Carter High. Please welcome the new head coach at Texas College in Tyler, Texas, Greg Ellis, to the Vision Lab podcast.
Yay! That's a great intro. Appreciate it.
Quite a resume you got, sir.
Thank you.
So what's the story about the number 8 pick?
Oh man, the story about the number 8 pick. Okay, and this is crazy.
You'll forever be linked, though.
Forever.
Oh, is this Randy?
Yeah.
Right? He's like, oh, Randy? Oh, yeah, we know about Randy.
And so, the behind the scenes of it is that I don't know how Jerry does it. Jerry Jones, I'm talking about how he does it today. But that year, he brought in a lot of guys that were like the top 20 picks, and it was about 20 of us, literally. And I don't know if he pulled everybody into his office, but I was one that he pulled into his office. And Randy was one that he pulled into his office. And I think he pulled everybody in there one at a time. And he told me, he said, Greg, if, things fall the way we think they're going to fall, we're going to draft you. And I'm assuming he told Randy the same thing. And I'm assuming he told the other 18 guys the same thing. It's just, we wouldn't be there for nothing, right? But I guess, Randy took that and was like, what happened? You could have got me and you chose not to get me. And that stuck with him his whole career, and I think he used that as motivation to have a Hall of Fame career.
Yeah.
But poor me in Dallas, it's like, okay, all right, Randy, you can slow down a little bit, brother. We get the point, you know what I mean?
As he's going nuts on Thanksgiving Day,
right?
What are y'all thinking?
Right, what I'm thinking, I walked up to him, I said, hey, brother, you need to slow down out here, man. He might not remember that because he was really in the zone, man. But he's had an amazing career, and I look at it as comical. I think when people look at my career, they would say, well, he didn't have a Randy Moss career, but
Who did?
yeah, exactly. I never thought about it that way. But nobody can say, well, Greg Ellis didn't come to Dallas and put in work. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
So I bunch of sacks, blessed to have a bunch of sacks and have made the Pro Bowl and NFL comeback player of the year from an injury. So, I was blessed to have a very successful career.
Absolutely.
Not a Randy Moss career, but nevertheless one that, people wouldn't be ashamed of, and I'm certainly not ashamed of it myself.
You should not be. Before we get going, P, I think we got to give some major ups because we kind of ran into a little bit of a hiccup.
Oh, man.
Getting the recording and the podcast going, so we got to shout out somebody real quick.
Thank you to Ryan, the owner at the location we are currently recording this episode at, the Avo Eatery here in Trinity Groves. The address escapes me at the moment, but it's in Trinity Groves, right next to Network Bar. It's a big avocado sign out front. You can't miss it. Thank you again, Ryan. I spoke with him on the phone today.
Did you?
And he said to tell you, thanks for stopping by, but at the same time, he says you cause him a lot of heartache because he's an Eagles fan. He's tired of you running down Doc.
Oh, wow.
So thank you again, Ryan, and the entire staff here at Avo Eatery in Trinity Groves.
And Ryan, this is my first time having some avocado fries.
Absolutely.
They're healthier than the regular fries, I would assume, and they certainly they taste pretty good. So big shout out about these fries.
That's what's up.
So it is June 15th, and we are a few days away from the Vision Lab Podcast Annual Golf Classic, sir. You are a celebrity host. We'd like to again say publicly thank you for hopping on board with us, and we definitely appreciate it. Obviously, we got a lot of initiatives we're going to cover and whatnot, but from your standpoint, what made you say yes?
I think it's a good cause, what you're doing. I'm glad to see that you understand the importance. To me, giving back, helping, support, we have to understand nobody can live in this world by themselves.
That's right.
And when we see people, we see organizations in need, it's our responsibility to do something to help. Some can do more, some can do less, but nevertheless, we all should do a little something.
Yeah. And I grew up with that attitude in mind, being raised by my parents and grandparents and making sure that we always had a helping hand or giving back to the community. So this Saturday, June 19th, we hope that you guys will be there. Irving Golf Club, 8:30 shotgun start. If you haven't registered, go ahead and hit up our Eventbrite. Shoot us a DM. Bring your best golf game. We're going to have a number of different sponsors out there, along with Greg Ellis, and it's going to be a hell of a time. So we hope to see you guys out there this Saturday, June 19th, 8:30 shotgun start at the Irving Golf Club.
So let's get right into it. Your current endeavor, if we'll call it that, you are the head coach at Texas College in Tyler, Texas.
And athletic director.
And the athletic director. Oh,
yes.
Wow, you're wearing both hats.
And the guy to cut the grass. No, I don't cut the grass.
And so, obviously, you got your hand in a lot of different pots, but you and I have already had a conversation about it kind of offline, but why did you choose this undertaking? Like, you didn't have to do it. What made you say, you know what, I'm going to do this?
I do a lot of projects, stage plays, projects that shed a lot of light and have opened my eyes and mind to the black experience from the beginning of getting here in America and the struggles that we had to endure up to this point, to this day. And when that opportunity came to be part of Texas College, I said to myself, talk to my wife and make sure she was good with it. But for me, I said, you know what? When I was in high school coming out, I never thought about attending an HBCU. It wasn't that I was against the HBCU, but I didn't know anything about it. And most guys that make it to the pros, we are, for lack of better terms, those top athletes.
Right.
And so the Division I schools come at you, and you never even consider D1 colleges. And so I have a sense of obligation to gain the experience of what that HBCU experience is like. And I'm so blessed, and people see all the things that I have to do to help my football team work and help the other sports work. But I still count it a joy and a blessing to gain this experience.
So what people may not realize is that you've been the head coach for about a year at this point, right?
Not quite. Yeah, almost a year, but go ahead.
So I don't think they understand the undertaking, as you said, and the challenges that you're faced against with a smaller HBCU in the middle of a pandemic.
Mm-hmm.
Like, what's going through your head as to, okay, why now? Like, why is this the right timing for me now?
Man, the pandemic made it even more important for me to step in and do my little part. When the president of the school reached out to me, he was concerned that he was going to lose his football program.
Okay.
Because they knew for safety reasons, especially when the pandemic first came out, they made a decision that our school is going to go 100% online for a while. And so we didn't play any sports. Football was certainly one we weren't going to do. They didn't play. And so when he called me about the job, he said, Greg, matter of fact, I didn't know he was offering me a job because he and I had already known each other for a while. And he called me, he said, Greg, do you know anybody that'll be interested in being a coach for us? And I'm thinking with him on the phone, I'm like, well, no, I really don't. And he said, well, let me cut to the chase, man. I want you to be our coach. And I was like, well, I do other stuff, man. And then he said, well, no. He said, we're not going to play this year because of COVID. So he said, you just need to meet with the guys virtually twice a week and something like that. And he said, I don't want to lose my football program. And I said, okay, I can do that. And of course, one thing led to another. And it's all been virtually. But, thank God we've been able to maintain the football program at Texas College and even grow the football program at Texas College as well. So I think it was good timing. Like I said, good timing for me to gain the experience to see what that is like. Because I tell you, man, the HBCU, at least at Texas College, the experience between that and a Division I school, like I went to the University of North Carolina, it's like night and day, man.
Yeah.
It's a lot of my guys, when I'm meeting with them on Zoom, they're working sometimes. And I'm like, wow, y'all work? At my school, man, you couldn't work.
Never even thought.
It was only time I got a job was in the summertime. You could work in the summertime, and most of the time those jobs were, kindly orchestrated. You got the smirk on your face, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I played at Vanderbilt.
Oh, well, you already know.
You ain't really working.
Yeah.
It's just to make sure you don't go off and do something stupid.
Yeah, exactly. You know what I mean? So the things that these young people have to endure in order to continue to chase their dreams, my hat comes off to them. Now, there are a lot of discipline things that I see my team lacks that, again, I didn't see us having to deal with, but it's the structure, I should say lack of structure sometimes in the division, in the HBCU colleges that not the college itself, but the athletics, I should say. It's, not having that off-season strength and conditioning coach in place, program in place. So, young teenagers, if they idle mind is the devil's workshop.
Right.
And so for them, a lot of times, man, it's idle time.
Too much free time.
Yeah, too much free time, right? But when I went to school, it was, you don't have any idle time. It's like, okay, as soon as the season over, we're going to train. When school get out, you're going to be back up here and train. I told my wife, she said, Greg, has anybody never gone to summer school on your football team when I was in college? And we had this one guy named Marcus Jones. Marcus was a first-round pick to Tampa Bay, probably in '96. And I remember this one semester, man, this one session of summer school, Marcus said, well, I'm not going to go to summer school this session. Dude, you would thought the world was going to come to an end. The coach was like, why are you not going to summer school? I'm like, well, he didn't say he was going to quit football, man. He's just going to miss. But that's how conditioned you were. It's like you do this. You don't have any idle time. But at the D1, at the HBCU level where I'm at right now, it's a lot of idle time because coaches have to do multiple jobs and you can't fully be there. I have some of my guys saying, Coach, can I get the keys to the weight room? Why? Because they're used to the weight room not being open. You see what I'm saying? But where I went to school at, it was 24/7. It's always open. Somebody's always in there. You know what I mean? So it's a different thing.
You know, we've talked offline a couple of times, and there's been some things that really opened your eyes to what, you know, your team has to deal with. I know one of the things is the showers.
Yeah.
Talk to our visionaries about kind of what that experience is like for your players.
Yes, visionaries. I need y'all to get a good vision of what we want to go to.
Yes, sir.
You can vision first where we starting at. And so when I got there, man, I met the lady in the cafeteria, right? And she said, Coach, what do you want? Kind of food you want? And she's a real nice lady. And I said, well, I'm not picky. So, and I said, what do you need from me? She said, make sure your guys take showers before they come over here. I was like, why would they not be taking showers? What's going on? And so I go to the locker room. And the locker room is extremely small, first of all. And I'm looking for the rest of it. And I'm like, wow, this is it. So everybody got to cram in here. And then I see the showers. And I'm like, that's when it hit me. I'm like, it's 3 showers. And I'm not talking about those who are accustomed to a locker room with showers, football locker room. Usually it's a big open space with a lot of shower heads. That ain't what I'm talking about. I'm talking about 3 individual showers.
Like
3
stalls.
Yeah. 3.
For a 60, 70 kid team.
Well, yeah, that's the other thing I was going to ask you, was like, how many players are on the roster?
Yeah, you see, my goal is to have 100 plus.
Right.
So I'm like, now how, even if it's 60 or 70, how are these guys going to share 3 showers?
You got to have that shower monitor.
You see what I'm saying? Well, that's why they haven't been taking the showers. So then it triggered, I was like, okay, that's why they're not taking showers before they eat. Because I'm guessing, okay, when practice is over, right, you're trying to hurry up and get some dinner before it closes, right?
That's right.
So you're not going to walk from the practice facility to your dorm room to take a shower and take a chance of missing dinner.
You're going straight to the dining hall.
You're going straight to the dining hall. You see what I'm saying? So it's things like that that people at the HBCU level have to deal with. You know what I mean?
You mentioned discipline and things that you kind of noticed that were kind of lacking as you took over. What's the first thing, like once you kind of got your hands wrapped around exactly what you were going to have to do in order to get things going in the direction you wanted to? What's the first thing you told your team in the team meeting? When you finally said, okay, I've got a picture of what's going on and what I want to do, what's the first thing you told them?
The small things, pay attention to the small things, and learn how to be consistent. Because for them, it's a lot of inconsistency that goes on. Nothing with the school directly, but in their athletic careers at the school, it's a lot of inconsistency. You see what I'm saying? And that stuff spills over to your productivity on the field. So what I've done, I meet with them twice a week through Zoom, like I said. So that was really designed to be like just that first semester or through the regular football season. But I felt like, okay, they need to establish that habit of doing something consistently. And so we had Thanksgiving. Thanksgiving is always on what day? Thursday. Right? Our days that we meet are on Tuesdays and Thursdays. So Thursday is coming around the corner. It's Tuesday. I said, guys, y'all know Thanksgiving coming up, so what do you think we're going to do? And a lot of them said, well, you know, we're probably not going to meet because it's Thanksgiving. I said, wrong. We're going to meet on Thanksgiving because I want you guys have to understand the importance of being consistent. Athletes who win at their sport, and I'll come back in on football, I'll go in close with Tom Brady. Tom Brady can be down, right? But he doesn't deviate from being consistent of this is what we do, this is who we are, and we're going to keep doing it, we're going to keep doing it. It's going to get right. We're going to keep being consistent and do it. And I use Tom and New England Patriots as an example all the time. I say, you take New England, right? Most guys are going to struggle to name like 5 guys that play on the New England Patriots football team. Not this year, but when Tom Brady was up there, right? But they were winning Super Bowls. Mm-hmm. But you couldn't name the guys on their team. Other than right. Tom Brady, you knew. But, you know, Rodney Harris, you may knew him, but a couple people. But the majority of their team, you know, you really wouldn't know who they are. But they played together, they played as a team, and the big thing is they were consistent in what they did. And they won. And so I think that, with the HBCUs, and I'll just say Texas College, that I see with my team is the understanding the importance of being consistent.
Do they understand that right now, or they're starting to be aware that, this is a deficiency that we have?
Yes.
Okay.
They do. And I'm glad, even though we hadn't been around each other, I'm glad to see that they now starting to understand and seeing what they didn't have in place. And I'm not talking about facility-wise, but I'm talking about the lack of discipline, structure and the lack of discipline, how things used to go. And now I see them appreciating the discipline. They start to see, okay, this may help us win more football games. You know what I mean?
And I bet those players are willing to run through that brick wall.
Yeah.
And talking about consistency, P.
Absolutely.
Edwina Brown over at Blowing Smoke Cigar Lounge has been absolutely consistent and holding us down since day one. EB, we're super excited about your new location. We will be in the building, better believe it. Guys, if you haven't already, you've heard it almost on every episode. Holler at them at Blowing Smoke Cigar Lounge. And it's going to be an awesome experience for you, I promise that. Great humidor, great staff. Shout out to EB and the team over at Blowing Smoke.
To finish up the football part, what type of team do you want to have?
A mentally tough and disciplined football team. Because one of the things that staff people have told me, and some of the players too, is that Texas College, they've been in some football games, but it's like towards the end they fall apart. If somebody make a mistake, it's like, oh well, here we go again kind of thing, and then they start finger pointing. Now, with this upcoming season, I'm anticipating some of that still to be going on, but personally, we have laid enough groundwork that it won't be as much as it has been in the past. They don't have too much farther to fall. And so hopefully I don't have to spend this year
Falling some more, but they can already be and hit that rock bottom where they're willing
to do what it takes to be successful on the football field. And I say that because in the last three years, their football team, man, I can say them because I wasn't a part of it, right? I'm going to distance myself. No. But our football team, they only won 4 football games in the last 3 years.
Wow.
You see what I'm saying? So you're talking about a little over 1 game a year. So if I'm a player, I'm like, okay, man, we want to win. And so I tell them, okay, if you want to win, this is what it's going to take for you to win. The hard work. I said it's not about showing up the day of the game and yelling and screaming and beating on your chest and thinking that we're going to go out here and win. It's about putting in the off-season strength and conditioning work. It's about showing up to practice on time. All of those things, man. And a lot of the guys now, I can see them starting to catch on and to see that.
One of the things that I'm noticing that we have yet to talk about are the X's and O's, right? Obviously, last year didn't have the season. You were able to have the Zoom meetings for a little bit of connection with the players, right? The best we could do.
That's right.
What does that look like now? Did you guys have spring ball?
No, we didn't even do spring ball.
So when do you actually get on the field? Yeah, and work hands-on with them. They got pads on, wear at least shorts and shells.
Yeah.
Like, when does all that take place?
And see, unfortunately for us, that won't be into training camp. Till we actually are, pads and really go after it. We're doing strength and conditioning now, but, it's no pads, you know what I mean?
Right. Are they doing any 7-on-7 or Pascal?
Yeah, okay. we can do those kind of things. But, again, no pads on. You can do the 7-on-7, passing the ball around some. But, you're just, for me, that nerve-wracking thing because you can have a guy that got a helmet on. You know where I'm going with this, right? Mm-hmm. You can have a guy that got that helmet on and he looks like the best thing since sliced bread, but because he's not going to get hit. But when you put those pads on and somebody's going to lay something on you, it's a difference for a lot of players. Some players, they're fine, but a lot of players, every team, and even in the NFL, you had guys that when it was, no pads on, you're not going to get hit in practice.
They prime time.
Yeah, exactly, right?
Good.
But then when it's time to really lace them up and do it, those guys aren't anywhere to be found. So that's nerve-wracking to me.
How has it been orchestrating and creating your own staff, your own football staff, as well as, your ancillary support team too, like your strength and conditioning coach?
Correct.
Obviously, I'm sure you guys don't have like a nutrition coach at this particular point. I know that's probably something you want to see in the future, but what does that look like when you're building out your support team?
For me, it's been a blessing because a lot of people have volunteered their services to me out of relationship, and guys that I have played with, and some guys I didn't even play with, but we just know each other. And so that's been a saving grace to help us, as we say, appear bigger than we are. You know what I mean? To get some of the things that the D1 programs are getting, it has been because of relationships. So I thank God for that, and that's going to help us a lot for this upcoming season.
You spent your career on the defensive side of the ball, right? Where are you going to position yourself as a head coach?
I got a lot of guys that I'm pulling from, head coaches that I have, been blessed to play under. Mac Brown is one of them. Okay. Bill Parcells is another one. Chan Gailey is another one, and several other ones as well. My high school coaches, some great guys. So I've been blessed to be a part of a lot of good coaches. So for me, I look at it like this, that I think the most effectiveness that a head coach can be if he's kind of in the middle. Now, when I say in the middle, I mean you're the general for the team. I'm not here to be a defensive coordinator. I'm not here to be an offensive coordinator or a special team coordinator. I'm here to orchestrate those three phases of this football team. And so I can't dive so much and focus so much on special teams and neglecting the defense. I can't neglect the offense. So to me, my plan is to just, be over it and manage those three coaches and let them address the kids.
You mentioned, I can't help it, you mentioned his name, Bill Parcells.
Okay.
From a coaching standpoint, what you're going to glean from him, your experience playing for him, what makes him him, and what are you going to try to take and incorporate into your coaching style?
The mental approach to it. Bill and Mac Brown, actually, too, to me, they understood the importance of the mental approach to it. They understood that I'm not coaching this kid. My position coaches are coaching this kid. I can be more effective if I can coach my coaches to get the point across, because these position coaches are going to spend more time with these kids than I am. So if I can make sure the message that's coming from my position coaches it lines up with what my philosophy is, then I think that's the best way to go about it. And I look at Bill Parcells, everywhere he has gone, he's won. I look at Mac Brown, everywhere he has gone, he has won. Now they have two different, strategies in how they do it, but both of them are really strict on their coaches. And, they're hard on the players too, don't get me wrong, but they spend their time getting the best out of their coaches, knowing that these coaches are going to spend all the time with these guys. You know what I mean? I'm not going to be in the room with the quarterbacks. I can't be in the room with the defensive linemen. Yeah, you know what I mean? But the position coaches, they will.
Earlier when we were talking, I've heard a couple of different things. I've heard mindset. I'm all over that.
Okay.
I've heard consistency, and you start to uncover the word commitment. We were talked offline about your commitment to Texas College in terms of just driving out there.
Yeah.
A lot of people don't realize you're about 2 hours away.
2 hours.
A hard 2 hours, right?
Straight up 2 hours. I'm not talking about an hour and 55 minutes.
A solid
2 hours, baby.
So that is the level of commitment that you have to not only Texas College, but to your players. I think that's important for your players and the team to know, as well as alumni and everyone that supports Texas College to know that, look, I'm in this, and I'm not just here as a face of a program.
Yeah.
I'm in the trenches with you guys. So can you kind of speak about your level of commitment to the the team and the program?
Yeah, it's just like what you just said. I mean, when you choose to do something to me, if you say you're going to do it, you need to do it, and you need to do it, as I would say, unto God. You need to do it with all your heart, and that's what I'm doing here at Texas College. I'm pouring everything into it. I think if you want to have a chance to be successful, this is what it's going to take. You know what I mean? And I'm willing to do it. Now, it's very challenging. It's very taxing on me, to be honest with you. But I told my guys, I said, man, just like flying an airplane, it's like driving a car. They say the hardest, the stressfulest thing on that car and on that airplane is when you're taking off. Mm-hmm. But once you get to that cruising altitude, it doesn't take as much to maintain that. But when you have only won 4 games in the last 3 years, we're way down here, and so we got to push hard to change the culture at Texas College, and as now as the athletic director, not just with football, but our entire athletic department. Yeah. We got to switch this thing around, and it takes some time, but I don't know how long I stay or will be at Texas College. We don't have that crystal ball, but as long as I'm there, I'm going to give all I can give to help it get to the level where it needs to be at a competitive level.
Throughout this entire conversation, obviously you've been in the NFL for 12 or so years, experience in front of a microphone, talking to reporters, etc. But I get this true energy from you that's authentic and real. One of the words that you said earlier was, pouring into, right? Who has poured into you to help shape and mold you to the men that we see in front of us today?
Man, Mom and Dad, my Uncle Larry, my mom's brother, several family members, but definitely family members. Those coaches that I mentioned, a lot of them. And here's the thing that I challenge people to understand. An opportunity to learn is always available. But it's up to you to decide to learn.
We say that at the end of every episode. You'll hear it.
Oh, really?
Yeah. We say that in our version of it, but please continue.
Yeah, and so you have to understand somebody may not be even teaching you, right? They could be talking to somebody else, but that doesn't mean you can't learn something from them. And I remember this happened in practice one day. Bill Parcells was telling, I think he was telling DeMarcus Ware, he was telling somebody, and he said, don't be afraid to be good. He wasn't talking to me. He was talking, I think it was DeMarcus. It might not have been DeMarcus, but it was somebody. And I overheard him say that. And I was like, yeah, don't be afraid to be good. Don't be afraid to be the best. Somebody got to be the best. Why can't it be you? You know what I mean? And so that helped me. That was one of those nuggets, if you would, that helped me. But so to get back to answer your questions, a lot of coaches, Mom, Dad, Uncle, those 3 right there, definitely, and a lot of coaches.
Because you seem very, very
grounded,
very humbled. And I'm sure it's been a process. It's like a journey, as it has for everyone. But I for one feel that energy from you, and like the compassion and passion, and that you're here, you're grounded, and I really like that energy.
Thank you.
Before we switch gears, Cuff, let me say thank you to the good folks at Class A Vodka, Crystal and Tim. Thank you guys for all of your support. Visionaries, we stand on their product for a reason. The Instagram handle is at Class A Vodka. That's Class A with a K. The slogan is Class in Every Glass. We promise you, get your hands on the bottle. You will not drink any other vodka but Class A Vodka. Again, Class A Vodka, at Class A Vodka as the Instagram handle. Make sure you get a hold of them. Send them a DM. They'll make sure you're taken care of. Movies and film.
Yes. I'm apologizing from eating on the show.
Hey, it's all good.
But it's been one of those days, guys.
It's all good.
Commitment.
Yes, that's what's been going on.
Amen. Movies and film. That's not a space typically that retired athletes occupy. Normally it's coaching or something else in the business spectrum.
Correct.
Why that window? Why did you just go through that door?
Man, I tell you, I thoroughly enjoy helping people. And in my opinion, one of the best ways that you can help somebody is to help them to become enlightened, to help them to gain some understanding or some wisdom, if you would. And one of the best ways to do that is to entertain them. If I can entertain you, you're going to remember so much more of the information that I present before you, versus if I'm just, monotone, just telling it to you. You know what I mean? You take a kid, and people say this all the time, that boy, he can't remember anything in school, but that boy can remember every lyric to a song. You see what I'm saying? Yeah. So it's like, well, no, his brain is fine. You know what I mean? But we got to deliver the message to him in a way that, it's more entertaining to him, that he can absorb that information. So that's how and why I got into movies, stage production plays. Matter of fact, we did one of our stage production plays in Tyler, Texas, and Dr. Fernell, who's the president of Texas College, they bought a lot of tickets to come to our show. So when he asked me to coach, I'm like, you just seen me with all those people, so how you think I'm gonna do this, bro? Yeah. So I really think, it's a great way to help people. Now, you as the artist, the creative mind, it's your responsibility to choose what message you want to put out there for people to learn, in my opinion. And you have to be responsible to understand that media influences people, right? Somebody about to go out and do something bad they ain't got no business doing, they're probably not riding down the street listening to some gospel music, right? I mean, that's just reality, you know what I mean? So you got to understand it's our responsibility. I'm not against rap music or nothing like that, but we have to understand that, you have a lot to do with influencing people in their thought process and the decisions that they make,
When did you know you could actually do it? Because we have people on the show from every walk of life. And sometimes they have what we call a light bulb moment or a fork in the road, whatever you want to call it. When did you know you could actually do it? Like, you know what, Self, this is going to work.
So I started out in that industry, but I started out, I guess what you would call more on the safe grounds.
Okay.
It was, we started out taking pictures in schools, doing school yearbooks, and we would film commercials for people, but I didn't write it. You know what I mean? And even when we did the Carter High movie, I didn't write Carter High. I was heavily involved in serving as a producer and an executive producer, but I still didn't write or direct Carter High. And so my first full-length production, stage play production, was a play called called Watch Night. Did Watch Night one first. And man,
circa what year was this?
This is probably now. It's probably like 5 or 6 years ago. Okay. Maybe even longer than that. Probably about 5 or 6 years ago, I think. Right, and it may have been like 7 years ago. But I had the concept in my mind a long time, and so finally I wrote it out and hired a script writer, and I really wasn't even knowing that I would get credit for writing it. But when she got it, what I wrote to give to her, she said, you wrote so much of this that I have to list you as a co-writer because you pretty much wrote the whole thing. And so got it written out, scripted out, and I reserved the place to do the play at, and talked to some experts in the field, and they said, man, it's a good play, the script is good, but I wouldn't do it right now, right? And so I called the place that I reserved, canceled it, and again, not to get religious with you, but I just really felt convicted because I didn't do it. I felt like this was something that God really wanted me to do. It was going to help people. And so, you start justifying in your head. It's like, man, I don't want to lose, money because those facilities, they cost a good penny.
And are you self-funded at this point?
Yeah, right. And so that means, if those of your audience who don't know what self-funded is, that means you on the hook. And if they don't sell enough tickets, you up the creek. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Right. And so I called the dude. I said, man, I'm gonna have to pull out. I'm gonna cancel it. And I didn't put any deposit down yet. I just called and said, what is the date available? He said yes, but I pulled out, and I felt so convicted, man. And so I said, okay, God, I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna get a small theater so I don't have to waste that much money, and I'll do it that way. So the original place probably held about 1,500, 1,700 people, the place I end up getting only held like 300 or 350 people, right? And so my plan was to just do one show, and that was gonna be it. Cause the experts told me it ain't gonna work out, Greg.
Imagine that.
Yeah, right. And so we set out to do one show, and somehow, man, we ended up doing 4 shows on that weekend.
Oh wow!
And dude, with the exception of that Friday matinee show, all of them was standing room. I mean, literally standing room only to that production, man. And people, they couldn't believe that was my first time writing a full feature stage production.
What they say, if you just take it to God, let Him open the door.
Yep.
And you just walk through it.
Yeah. And I tell people, that's scary though. People.
It's called faith.
It is. And I tell you, man, I'll tell people, it says it's impossible to please God without faith, but I can speak for myself and other people that I've seen being successful. It's a scary feeling, man. It's stepping off that cliff and you feel like, man, this ain't gonna work out.
You know why?
Yeah.
It's because you're not in control anymore.
Yes.
And that's the whole thing. You're supposed to give it to Him. And I was convicted of this about a couple of weeks ago. You know, since we're on this path, but you know, just take it to Him.
Yeah.
And then you get out the way and just be obedient. Right?
Exactly.
And that's why it's so scary, because of the flesh. We want to
be in control.
I want to move things around. Yeah. Like, look, man, you're not in control. But that's
We're only
amazing.
capable of so much as humans.
Yeah. Exactly, man. But the content of the Watch Night play, I was so surprised that the number of people that wasn't familiar with it. And I'll ask you guys this question. I put you on the hot seat.
Go ahead.
Okay.
On New Year's Eve, you guys ever heard of a service called Watch Night service that
Absolutely.
they observe in church? Mm-hmm. Okay, do you know the history and how that started?
I don't know the history of it, no.
I'm guessing something with slavery.
Okay, so he just broad, right?
Yeah.
You talking about slavery, so probably something with slavery.
No, I mean, I figured it's probably because slave masters would only allow them to congregate at that time. Maybe, I'm guessing. But
Let me stop you.
Yeah.
I don't want to embarrass you on
No,
your
no,
show.
I've been to watch night services every year on New Year's Eve since I've been married.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I'm well aware of it.
Yeah.
I mean, my New Year's Eve now
But
consists
do you know
of...
the history behind it?
No, I don't.
No.
But my New Year's Eve now consists of watch night service and watching cartoons with my little girl.
There you go. I got it. So, 1862, okay, September 22nd, the Emancipation Proclamation was created, ready to go. It wasn't to go into effect, and that's the document that started us on the road to end slavery. It wasn't going to go into effect until 1863, January the 1st, New Year's Day. And so New Year's Eve of 1862, some slaves knew they were going to be set free.
Everybody's on edge.
So they would gather and they would praise God and they were fellowshipping with each other. And they stayed up all night long watching for that first moment of freedom to come. You ask yourself, and I ask you guys this question, which church is Watch Night predominantly celebrated in? In the predominantly white church or predominantly black church?
The black church.
The black churches. And that's the reason why it is. So for years and years and years, we have continued that tradition. And other churches have adopted that tradition because it sounds good, meaning like, okay, I'm going to church, thanking God for blessing me from making it through that year and praying for blessings upon this upcoming year. And that makes good sense, and that's a good reason to go. But the actual tradition of it started based on what I just told you guys about the slaves.
And that absolutely makes sense.
Yeah, exactly.
I just want to see my first
moment.
of freedom.
You think, I mean, you're not going to be asleep if you know you're about to be free. Now, it was a scary time for a lot of slaves because people say, well, why did some of the slaves choose to stay on the plantation? Here's what I tell them. It's like, you have to understand.
Yeah.
Where was you going to go to?
Where are we gonna go?
Yeah.
And it's not like I'm just gonna walk up to the front door of Master's house and say, "Hey, it's not, I'm out of here." It's not gonna fly.
Yeah.
Hey, I'm about to go. I'll see you later. Come on, man.
Send me my check.
So, and you
Here's
think
my
about
forwarding address.
Yeah. You know what I'm saying?
Send my mule and let me know where my 40 acres are, please.
Exactly. And so you think about how scary that was. I mean, if you were married, or if you had, if the master let you get married, but if you had a family, if you had little kids, and dude, it's December, it's January. You see what I'm saying? It's cold.
It's cold outside.
And so you talking about leaving? It's like, look, man, I know we want to leave, but
you gotta leave.
right now it's cold. You see that snow on the ground? It's like that could be a problem for us.
Just maybe.
Yeah, you know what I mean? So, and it goes back to, like I said, helping people to become enlightened about things. That's what I get excited about, helping people. And I think stuff like that really helps people. And in that play, we incorporated, you guys ever heard of the Willie Lynch letter?
Yes.
Hear that?
Absolutely.
And so, what I want...
Still being used today.
It's still being used today. And, in that letter, but let me go back here. So we incorporate some teachings from the Willie Lynch letter in that particular play.
Okay.
And so we created a great-great-grandson who is the descendant of Willie Lynch. Because the Willie Lynch character doesn't line up with 1862 or 63, so we just needed to create it that way. But I wanted people, when you're looking at Roots and you're looking at other slave movies, the number one thing people say, man, if I was in there, I would have did this.
Conditioning your mindset would be
Exactly.
different.
And that's what I want people to understand. It's like, no, the teachings like the Willie Lynch letter, it had people's mind in a total different atmosphere.
And they weren't aware of what we are aware of today.
No, exactly. And here's the thing, and I won't dive so deep in the Willie Lynch letter, but the biggest thing that the Willie Lynch letter did was to teach black people, predominantly black women, how to raise their children to be slaves.
Because the philosophy behind the Willie Lynch letter is we can really get them good if they're creating
slaves themselves for us. So we can get them to raise their kids, to tell their kids, this is what you were meant to be. We're going to win. And that letter says between 300 and 1,000 years that black people will be confused and suppressed. That's what that letter created. The teachings, the following of that letter, that's what it created. Now, today a lot of people say, well, no, it doesn't affect me.
Yes, it does.
I'm like, yeah, it does. It affects the whole system. That's why I joked with you guys a while ago when I said the word systemic racism. I'm like, man, when you think about this country, it's like that Willie Lynch letter, it affects so much that it's like the whole system is affected by it. And I tell people some simple things. I'm like, let's think about, where do you think the word master bedroom come from? You just think about that. You understand what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
It's like, you think it was an accident? You think it was a coincidence? No. It's the master bedroom. I mean, the simple thing is designing a Band-Aid. You thought about whose skin tone that was meant for?
Yeah.
You understand what I'm saying? It stands out on me. I'm one of the brothers that was been out in the field, if you will, due to my darker melanated skin. And so a Band-Aid stands out like a sore thumb. But, to our Caucasian brothers and sisters, it meant to blend in with their skin better, to try to hide. You know what I mean? So, again, I'm not being that militant person, but I think
education.
It's just education of being aware.
Yeah.
It's like, no, people need to be aware. And if we saying we want to fix stuff and like, how can we help? It's like, be aware of what's going on. You know what I mean? And another thing is that slavery created, that a lot of people don't realize, is what we call white privilege.
Yep.
It has penetrated so much that white privilege thing, people feel entitled to certain things. So
It's
anyway.
entitlement, and it's that thing too where if you're used to operating in a certain state to where you all you know is like, this just is what it is.
Yeah.
You don't even see it as entitlement
There you
or
go.
privilege.
It's just normal.
It's just normal.
It's just normal.
It's like a drug addict who is just consistently on something.
Yeah.
Sober is strange to them.
Yeah.
They rather operate being under the influence of something.
Yeah. You're exactly right. And so it has conditioned us here in America to feel like this is normal. This is how it's supposed to be. And a lot of people, they get on black people and say, man, why don't they do better? Why don't they
Get over it.
Yeah, and get over it and all that kind of stuff. It's like, well, we aren't shooting you guys up. It's like, but the system created communities and neighborhoods that put everybody in there,
Red
and
line.
then red line. So many things has been done to contaminate our communities. Yes. And so when it produces what it produced, then people want to say, well, they're doing it to themselves. They're killing and shooting each other up. Yep. It's like, yeah, but you put those things there.
You set that into motion.
You set that into motion. You see what I'm saying?
You look at it now, the Voting Rights Act in Georgia and Florida, I mean, they're trying to take it back to Jim Crow. Yeah. It's a hell of an onion to peel. My personal philosophy on it, like people say all the time, well, what can we do to make things right? And no one wants to hear it. I tell people all the time, literally start over. And they're like, what do you mean? Everything that we have now, as far as government functions and all that, how the government was formed, tear everything down to the studs and start over. Mm-hmm. Everyone should have a seat at the table. All the backroom deals that are made that, now help what is America be America, right? But start over. But no one wants to hear that. Mm-hmm. Nobody wants to hear it. So, it's an onion to peel, and people I think we're at a point where there's, we've all been divided in one form or another, right? Yeah. Right, left. People have forgotten right and wrong. But
that's good.
People literally everyone's like, oh, right, left, Democrat. Whatever it is, having to be a human being and saying, hey, this is right, this is wrong. And people are all so dug in our echo chambers where no one wants to hear that anymore.
No. Yeah.
And that's most political rant for this episode. And I'm going to switch gears one more time. But before I do that, I want to say thank you to the good folks at Dallas Leaf LLC, Ron, Taz, David the Bean Counter. We appreciate you guys, all of your support. Visionaries, if you have not had a chance to work with Dallas Leaf yet, whether it's cigars, entertainment events, charitable events, give it to the good folks at Dallas Leaf LLC. The website is dallasleafllc.com. The Instagram handle is @DallasLeafLLC. As we kind of begin to wind things up. Okay. And I was going to save it for later, but we're just having a good conversation.
Okay.
When I say the word vision, what comes in your mind?
Wow.
Because it's the Vision Lab podcast.
It's so much comes into my mind. And as I thought about it for those 18 seconds just then, it's the word that I think that goes around vision, the most impactful word, is clarity.
That's good.
Meaning you can have vision, but is it foggy? Or is it clear that you're seeing the real truth for what it is? So, people, you're talking about the Vision Lab, you want to be able to see, right? And you want to have the best vision possible without it being cloggy. But the same thing in your life, in everything in your life, just are you seeing it through the right lens, if you would? And here's the thing. Don't be afraid to acknowledge that you are seeing it through the right lens. In this country, some of us have been so afraid, I guess, if you would,
to see it through the right lens.
Yeah. What's the name? The quarterback y'all just said is playing tight end. Tebow. Nothing personal against the brother. I promise you, it's nothing racial or nothing like that. But should I cloud my vision to say what's not really happening, or should I keep my glasses clear?
Say this
is what it is. I'm not mad at anybody, but let's call it, as they say where I'm from, let's call a spade a spade.
Come on now.
That's all that is. You see what I'm saying? So everything that goes on in this world, it's like keep your glasses clear. Let's have the 2020 vision, and let's just call it for what it is. It's like it's nothing personal. I mean, I'm not gonna yell and scream at him. I'm not gonna go out there and protest. But you've been retired for 8 years and you never played tight end. And now the best football league, because there are other professional football leagues, right. The best possible football league in the whole world is going to put you at tight end after you've been retired for 8 years.
Playing baseball.
And you never played the position.
Yeah.
Come on now. We're going to put you
you expect to go block one of the best athletes on the field.
Yeah, come on now. So.
Greg over there lining up.
I mean, look. And I tell people, they say, Greg, look like you still can play. And I said, no, trust me, I can't. It just look that way. But if I'm lined up against Tim Tebow, I'm like, I think I'll be all right. I'll be all right. Nothing personal against him, though. But I'm just saying, let's keep our glasses clear. And let's just, don't try to sugarcoat it. Come on, man. That's what that is. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I like the word association part.
Go ahead. I figured you would.
Yeah, I do.
We've been doing this for a while.
A little bit. So, when I say the word commitment, what's the first thing that comes to mind?
The right cause. what you are committed to, is it the right thing? Is it something that's impactful to this world? Is it something that you should be committed to, if you would? So, to me, I think, again, it kind of goes back to the clear lens. I think we got a lot of people that's committed to stuff that in their heart they know is wrong, but they still feel like, well, I got to be committed to doing it that way, or doing it this way, or voting this way. And no offense to Donald Trump, but I would say this. I was glad when a lot of stuff that Donald Trump did after he didn't win the election, how all those tactics that he were doing, some of the, straight up, born bred Republicans said, man, look, enough is enough. Now I'm Republican, but you're taking this too far, bro.
Finally crossed the point of no return.
And that's the thing.
What is he doing?
Things he's been doing his entire life. You just chose to see it clearly.
Yeah, see, that's the vision we're talking about.
You just chose to finally see it for what it is.
Yeah, and so I think, making sure the cause that you choose to commit to is the right thing to do. I think that's so important. And I said commit because I was talking about the football guys. I tell them, it's like, if this is something you want to do, if this is something you want to be good at doing, then you need to commit to it. If it's not something that you're serious about, that you don't want to be doing, it's like, don't waste your time. Go find what that purpose is for you that's going to keep you up at night thinking about ways to get better. That's what you're supposed to be doing. And if football is not it, then you in the wrong profession. That's how I see it. I can guarantee you, even the show you guys have put together, both of you have sit up in your beds at night thinking about, okay.
Now I ain't sleeping in the bed now. It's long, lot of late night phone calls.
Yeah.
2-3 o'clock in the morning.
Exactly.
Going over stuff.
Yeah, you see what I'm saying? But you guys have a successful show that people look at it and hear it and they're like, wow, that's pretty good. They got good topics. The structure of it is great. So it's what keeps you up at night. That's the thing you should commit to. But is it the right thing, though?
I got one more for you,
Yes,
and
sir.
then we'll land the plane.
Okay.
I already know what you're about to say. Go ahead.
Well, then you say
No.
growth.
Never stopping. I think it's the when you stop growing. Now, hopefully, I'm not talking about in size, but when you stop growing, it's time to die. I mean, I want to be that blunt with it, but when you think you have stopped learning everything or anything that you can possibly encounter that you're not going to learn anymore, then I don't see the fulfillment that a person can get out of life anymore. If it's nothing else for me to learn, it's like playing a video game. If you master the game, it's like, I don't get excited about playing this anymore. You know what I mean? It's like a retired military guy or girl or woman that says, there's nobody left to kill. My purpose is like, what am I supposed to do now, kind of thing. They struggle with that. That's a movie I'm just writing, by the way, too. Yeah. So I think, the minute you stop growing, then, life kind of gets boring, in my opinion. So I encourage people to understand that, you're never too old to learn. I appreciate when I see 40 and 50-year-old people in school still, seeking more knowledge, doing things in their life to obtain more wisdom. So I think, you have to continue to grow.
Amen.
Well, we have reached part of the show where we're landing the plane.
Okay, let's land the plane.
It is brought to you by the good folks at Grand Brûlot. Visionaries, we're in a restaurant, so for obvious reasons, we don't have a bottle in here. The state of Texas, I'm sure, would appreciate us not doing that.
I'm sure the owner, Ryan, would appreciate us not bringing it in, too.
That is that. Thank you again to Ryan. So one of the questions we ask everybody on the show when we land the plane is you, and there is a round table. There's 5 other seats.
Okay.
You can have anybody at that table. The only stipulation is that you can't have whatever religious deity you believe in. Outside of that, dead or alive, anybody can be at the table. You get 5 seats.
I would have my dad. I would have my Uncle Larry. I would have my father-in-law, Fred. That's 3. I would have my grandmother. That's 4. And I would have Man, who else would I have? That's a good question. I would have my granddaddy on my dad's side.
So you got a paternal granddaddy and a maternal grandmother?
Opposite, yeah.
Yep.
Okay. That's so all family.
Yeah.
That's good.
All family.
That's good. I want to give you the opportunity because you got a number of different things. First, any social media handles, personal websites, Texas College. Like, how can our visionaries support Greg Ellis and all the different initiatives that you have going on?
Man, yeah, there's a lot of them.
It's
Right?
okay. This is your plug.
And that's the crazy thing, because they're like, I don't even keep up with those social media handles. I get on Facebook and just surf around and even do a consistent Facebook live show, but I don't keep up with it, the handles and stuff. So texascollege.edu, that's the website to go, and you can search around there and find stuff how you can support Texas College. We welcome all support. We need support, and thank your audience for willing to do that. Juneteenth, the play, is another one. As we're coming up on Juneteenth now, I think it's important. We're pushing for Juneteenth to be a national holiday, and so it's a holiday in I think 44 something other states right now. And so, but it's not recognized on a national level. And so we're pushing for that to be a national holiday. And that website is, again, Juneteenth, the play. Just go there. And that's pretty much it, man.
Awesome. I want to say thank you for being on the show. But before we end it, I've got 2 more questions for you.
Okay.
What's the long-term vision for one Greg Ellis?
It's a vision lab. Come on now.
I know. I should know that was coming, right? What's my clear vision, right?
Yeah.
Man, you spoke about having faith a while ago, and so I can see some of the path, but I don't see the end of the path. If you would, and I think God doesn't want me to see the end of the path because I have to have some faith. But right now is to continue to function in the vein that I'm functioning in. I love helping people. And I love doing it through entertainment. And so I want to continue to expand in the entertainment arena, and as much as I can to continue to work with young people in some capacity. And for now, that's coaching, being an athletic director. I don't know how long that lasts, but whatever I do, you can bet your life that it's going to always be something to help people. And that vein of entertainment is something I thoroughly enjoy. So helping people in some aspect, by helping them become enlightened, it's going to be in that arena somewhere.
All right. This is a 2-part question, but it's the last question of the show.
You said that several times.
What advice would Greg Ellis be giving himself from 5 years ago?
Okay, good question. What advice would I be giving myself? Is one of the things we talked about, and that is calling a spade a spade.
Okay.
And a lot of things that I talk about, man, up here, I live and experience those things myself. We won't have time to dive into it deep, but so many things that I chose to pull the wool over my eyes and say, nah, it's not like that. They not like that. But now, hindsight, it's like, wow, really? It was really like that?
But you knew it the whole time.
You knew it the whole time. But you just chose, and that's what I encourage people. Take those blinders off. See life for what it really is. It don't mean you have to go out there and fight somebody and jump on or be mad at them, but I'm not going to sit here and be stupid about the topic or the subject or whatever we're dealing with. It's like, you've been retired and again, Tim, I'm not talking about you, my brother. You're a Christian, I'm a Christian. And that's the thing. It's like, I'm not mad at him, but
it is what it is.
It is what it is. So if I can go back 5 years, I would quicker take those blinders off and just realize, call it for what it is, know what it is. Don't mean I have to go and do something crazy about it, but don't have your blinders on.
Almost like you're saying, don't lie to yourself.
Don't lie to yourself.
Don't lie to yourself.
It's like, that's a skunk over there. So you can choose to go pick it up and think it's a cat if you want to. Your eyes are indicating to you that that's a skunk. Now, when you go pick it up, you're going to start smelling like a skunk.
You're going to find out it's a
So
skunk.
you can avoid picking it up and smelling like a skunk by just having your blinders off and say, that's a skunk. There's no need for me to go over there and pet it. It's a skunk, you know?
All right, we're going to fast forward the clock 5 years from now.
Okay.
So we're going to make you a little bit older.
Okay.
What's-
Don't do that. I got this break coming in. But what you got?
Black don't crack.
Oh, there you go.
What advice would the older Greg Ellis be giving himself today in 2021? It's 2026. Older version of you is looking back today and telling you, Greg,
That's I've never been asked that question. I would like to think the older Greg Ellis would tell the current Greg Ellis is continue to stay the course. And that's a good. I like the question though. And be more relaxed when you're exercising your faith.
that's good.
Because, 5 years from now, whatever I'm thinking about now, it probably would already have happened. And I would look back and be like, man, I was all nervous and scared and all that kind of stuff. So I think it would be like, don't just relax when you have to function out of faith. And, that's what it is. Yeah.
Appreciate it.
Yeah, man. Yep. Appreciate
All of
y'all.
our visionaries worldwide, thank you so much for tuning in to another great episode of the Vision Lab podcast. If you like this content, go ahead and hit that like button and smash that subscribe button as well. Big shout out to our guests, Greg Ellis, and all of our sponsors that continue to support the Vision Lab podcast. Remember, this Saturday, June 19th, 8:30 shotgun start, Irving Golf Club. Proceeds will be benefiting the Leukemia and Lymphoma Society of North Texas, as well as the Alzheimer's Association of Greater Dallas. We got a fun little initiative also that we've got in place too for some local teachers here in the area. But remember, each one of our guests are dropping nuggets of wisdom here on the Trail of Life. Ultimately, my friends, it's up to you to pick them up.
Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Ryan Mosley. He is Greg Ellis. He is Ryan Cuffey. Thank you to Ryan, the owner here at Avo Eatery here in Trinity Groves. Thank you, sir, for coming into the clutch for us.
Man.
Thank you to Lola Wilson for helping make this happen. We will see you guys next week on another great episode of the Vision Lab podcast.
Blessings.